From barefoot walking bans, prohibition of wearing shorts, to no drinking alcohol on the streets, you won't find such peculiar regulations anywhere else but in Mexico. Known for its stunning natural beauty, diverse culture, and deep history, Mexico is also famous for a range of prohibitions and peculiar regulations that you might not expect. In this video, we will explore the 20 most unique and strange regulations in Mexico. From peculiar prohibitions to cultural and behavioral rules, let's delve into these interesting facts together and learn about a part of this country you may have never known about before. Number 20. Don't eat before 9 p.m. If you're accustomed to enjoying an early dinner, you'll be surprised when entering most eateries in Mexico. Even if you arrive at 8 p.m., the restaurants remain empty. This isn't because they serve bad food, but because 8 p.m. is still too early for dinner in this country. The reason for this stems from the Mexican people's breakfast habits. They typically have a late and hearty breakfast consisting of pan dulce, sweetbread, cereals, and coffee. Light snacks or antojitos can be eaten at any time during the day. Since breakfast is late, lunch in Mexico is also very late, usually from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., which serves as the main meal of the day. Mexican dinners typically occur between 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., much later than in most other countries, which seems to contribute to digestive issues among Mexicans due to this late eating habit. Number 19. No giving yellow roses. If you want to buy flowers for someone, whether it's a friend or a lover in Mexico, never think of buying yellow roses, no matter how beautiful they may be. Roses are often seen as symbols of love and romance in many cultures around the world. However, in Mexico, yellow roses are not a popular choice and even carry negative connotations. In Mexican culture, yellow roses are often associated with death and related rituals. Yellow is often used in ceremonies and rituals honoring the deceased, especially on the Day of the Dead. Therefore, giving yellow roses might be misunderstood as sending a negative or unlucky message. Instead, if you want to give flowers in Mexico, other types of flowers such as white daisies, red orchids, lilies, or red pomegranate flowers are usually preferred and considered safer choices. This helps avoid unintended misunderstandings and creates a more positive impression on the recipient. Number 18. Beware of danger signs. If you're a first-time visitor to Mexico, it's advisable to avoid cities that are often listed as unsafe, such as Tijuana, Ciudad Juarez, and other border towns. These cities, commonly considered unsafe in Mexico, are usually located in the north, bordering the U.S., and are notorious for drug cartels. Even in Mexico City, the capital of Mexico, there are still areas rated as unsafe. Most of these areas do not have many tourist attractions, so it's best to avoid them. But don't worry too much. In tourist spots, police presence is heavily maintained. If you stick to well-known areas, you'll feel safe, as there are security forces patrolling from morning till night. Number 17. Don't get into accidents. Renting a car in Mexico is very common and convenient. However, you may encounter some serious legal troubles if you fail to ensure you have the proper documentation or are caught driving under the influence. For example, if you have an accident and cannot prove you have appropriate insurance, you may be arrested and your car will be impounded. Additionally, if you're completely intoxicated, your insurance company will drop you. We imagine this is not quite the vacation you were expecting. In remote areas, be aware that you may encounter unofficial roadblocks, even on main roads, managed by locals to collect toll fees. It's best to give them some cash instead of trying to argue with them. You won't know who you're dealing with and it could be very dangerous for you. Number 16. Prohibition on wearing shorts and urinating in public. If someone hears about this rule for the first time, they might laugh because, while urinating might be understandable, why would wearing shorts be an issue? There's a not-so-lucky coincidence that most people caught urinating indecently are wearing shorts, leading to condemnation of men in shorts in cities. This is a behavior that the Mexican authorities find amusing to fine and arrest people for, especially foreigners who think they can sneakily urinate in public instead of finding a restroom. My advice is to try to hold it until you find a restroom instead of engaging in such behavior and risk getting caught on the spot. You know how bad that could turn out to be. Number 15. Pay attention to toilet signs. Alright, you've tried to hold it until you found a restroom, but once again, you need to stay alert to avoid entering the wrong gender restroom. If you're used to seeing the letter M on restrooms for men, you should pay attention because in Mexico, it might be the restroom for women. Since mujer means woman in Spanish, restrooms for men will be marked with the letter H. It's not just about toilets, daily activities can also be quite tricky if you don't know some Spanish. Not all Mexicans can communicate in English. This is particularly useful when you want to explore local life like enjoying street food, going to traditional markets, etc. Number 14. Day of the Dead. If you visit Mexico, it's best to stay indoors on the first 2 days of November because those days aren't for the living. Specifically, on the first 2 days of November every year, various regions of Mexico hold this day, collectively known as the Day of the Dead. Mexicans believe that when someone dies, it's just their physical body that's lost while their soul remains forever. These souls gather at Mictlan, the place where souls rest. They stay here until the day they return to their loved ones on an annual occasion. During this time, the gate between the realms of the living and the dead is opened only once a year. People then clean their homes and decorate their altars to welcome the souls. Offerings are divided into two types for children and adults. For children, it's usually toys, while for adults, it's often tequila and food. After the offering ceremony, family members gather to enjoy food and reminisce about the deceased. On this day, skull-shaped candies are essential. They appear all over the streets. These candies are used for offering and gifting. The candies come in peculiar shapes with a mild, sweet taste and are favorites among children. Number 13. Prohibition on alcohol consumption. Many foreign tourists praise the liberal attitude towards alcohol consumption in Mexico, mistakenly believing they can freely drink as much as they want in public places without consequences. However, this belief mainly stems from visiting crowded tourist areas where strolling down the street with a cold Corona in hand might not even raise an eyebrow. However, don't be deceived. This is not a crime that can be overlooked everywhere, and the penalties can be severe and arbitrary. In addition to strictly prohibiting alcohol consumption in public places, drinking 3 days before Election Day is also prohibited, whether you're a citizen or not, or whether you can vote in state or national elections. Consuming alcohol within 72 hours before a state or national election in Mexico is prohibited. Therefore, you may also find it difficult to buy alcohol from street corner stores during Holy Week. So, only drink alcohol in bars or at home and stock up on alcohol before the alcohol ban is enforced to prepare for Election Day. Number 12. Prohibition on drugs. It may sound quite absurd. What country in the world doesn't prohibit drugs, right? But if you know what's happening in Mexico, you wouldn't think this is redundant. Many people believe that Mexico is a drug haven, saying that drugs, stimulants, and narcotics are readily available in this country and that the police are extremely lenient. This has led many foreigners to come to Mexico to buy drugs and even medication, but this is completely wrong. If you're caught, the price to pay is hefty. Drug trafficking is prohibited, and possessing quantities exceeding the legal limit for personal use is a federal crime. Offenders are convicted with no option for parole, facing up to 25 years in prison. It's not uncommon for foreigners accused of drug-related offenses to be detained for up to 2 years before a verdict is reached. In 2009, the Mexican government passed a law legalizing the possession of a small number of drugs for personal and immediate use, defined as a maximum of 0.5 grams of cocaine, 5 grams of marijuana, 50 milligrams of heroin, 40 milligrams of methamphetamine, and 0.015 milligrams of LSD. If you need prescription drugs while in Mexico, make sure you have the necessary documentation, but note that some medications legal in your country may not be available in Mexico, and you may be arrested for bringing controlled substances into this country. Non-prescription drugs containing stimulants, such as codeine and pseudoephedrine found in Actifed and Vicks inhalers, are also prohibited. Number 11. Prohibition on taking feet off bicycle pedals. Another quirky law in Mexico regarding technical matters that can get you arrested is the law about taking your feet off bicycle pedals. You read that right. Cyclists are not allowed to take their feet off the bicycle pedals for fear of losing control and colliding. This measure is put in place to ensure traffic safety and reduce the risk of accidents for cyclists and pedestrians. This regulation is often enforced in densely populated residential areas and on main roads, where taking feet off the pedals can pose a danger to pedestrians and surrounding traffic. To comply with this regulation and ensure safety for everyone, cyclists in Mexico are usually encouraged to keep their feet on the bicycle pedals while moving on the street. Unlike the shorts regulation, it makes quite a bit of sense. Number 10. Leather Goods Paradise. If you're a leather enthusiast, you absolutely must visit this place. The small rural town of Nacozari in the northern part of the Veracruz state capital. At first glance, it looks quite similar to most other sleepy small towns in the higher altitude regions of this Gulf of Mexico coastal state. However, as you begin to wander through this town, you quickly realize that it's brimming with shops. After shops, selling all kinds of leather products. Leather shoes, leather boots, leather hats, leather wallets, leather jackets, exotic leather. You name it. You'll be pleasantly surprised to find all these shops and modern small shopping centers in such a remote and sleepy town. It truly is a leather shopper's paradise. Now, Nacozari may be inconveniently located, but it's definitely worth the winding road journey for a fantastic day of wandering, strolling, and shopping in this Veracruz, Mexico rural town. Number 9. Prohibited names. Parents always want to choose the most beautiful and meaningful names for their children. However, if you happen to want to have a child in Mexico, think very carefully before choosing a name for your child if you don't want to encounter legal troubles. The government has announced a list of prohibited names, mainly names that are offensive, derogatory, discriminatory, or meaningless. This list includes names like Facebook, RoboCop, Terminator, and even famous characters in movie series such as James Bond, the real name of the famous spy 007, with a considerable number of fans worldwide. But this name is also not allowed to be given in this country. The government says these regulations are established to ensure that names do not cause discrimination, offense, or any negative consequences for children. Anyway, there are still many good names to choose from instead of the banned ones. Number 8. Prohibition on public kissing. In Guanajuato, the city of Guanajuato in central Mexico, there is a romantic spot known as the Callejón del Beso, which is often dubbed the Alley of Kisses. Guanajuato has many narrow streets and alleys. Callejón del Beso is one of such narrow alleys, so narrow that the balconies of the opposite houses almost touch each other. Therefore, locals jokingly call it the balconies about to kiss. Although famous as such, a law passed in 2009 has banned kissing in public places in Guanajuato. As one of the most conservative states in Mexico, the so-called anti-obscenity law was put forward by then-Mayor Eduardo Romero Hicks of the Pan-Conservative Party. Of course, this law has caused outrage and opposition and was frozen a few days later. Number 7. Bringing pork across the border. Mexico has many interesting products for foreign visitors, but there are some items not allowed to be brought across the border as souvenirs, such as live animals, plant products, weapons, and illegal drugs. There are also some peculiar items banned by the US that people might want to bring from Mexico, specifically pork products. In any case, these cannot be brought into the US. Therefore, when bringing souvenirs from Mexico to the US, you need to strictly adhere to customs regulations and restrictions on entry and transportation. If unsure about specific regulations, consult information from customs authorities or seek advice from port or airport staff to avoid unwanted trouble. Number 6. Prohibition on singing the national anthem incorrectly. Although we all know the national anthem, there are times when we may still get confused singing it, and nobody complains about that. But in Mexico, it's different. Either you don't sing, or if you do, you must sing it absolutely correctly. Mexico is a patriotic country, and this is reflected in their deep respect for the flag and the official national anthem. In fact, there are some laws specifically for honoring and correctly performing and playing it incorrectly can get you fined or require you to apologize to the country. Of course, it's not so severe that you get arrested, but you might be terribly embarrassed by the crowd. Even kids will point at you and say harsh things if you make a mistake. Number 5. Wearing red underwear. You'll have the chance to celebrate New Year in the weirdest way in the world if you live in Mexico. On New Year's Eve, Mexicans gather with family and friends to reminisce about the past year. The whole family waits for the bell to ring at midnight, and when the clock strikes 12, each member eats a grape, 12 grapes in total, symbolizing the 12 months and representing wishes for each month. Especially for single girls, wearing red underwear is an essential part of this celebration, as it symbolizes hope for finding new love. According to Mexican belief, different colors have different meanings, even influencing the destiny of the upcoming year. Women will buy and give underwear to themselves or their friends and family members as a tradition. If a Mexican girl is still single, she will choose red underwear, which symbolizes good luck in love. This New Year's Eve tradition dates back to the Middle Ages when red was prohibited because it was associated with evil forces. However, women wearing red on New Year's Eve are believed to attract luck and the opposite sex. If someone wants to pray for wealth and economic abundance, they will wear green underwear. For career success, yellow is the choice, and for good health, white underwear is preferred. Number 4. The Silent Zone. Surely anyone who has watched the movie about the Silent Zone feels extremely breathless and cannot imagine what would happen if what happens in the movie happened in reality. The bad news is that in Mexico, there is indeed such a zone called OR. This mysterious area is located in northern Mexico near the border with the states of Chihuahua and Durango. The Zona del Silencio is famous for its unexplained phenomena, including radio signal loss, supernatural occurrences, and difficulties with GPS coordinate positioning. Many stories and legends have been told about this area, creating a mysterious and attractive allure for those interested in the supernatural. However, some believe that some phenomena in the Zona del Silencio can be explained by scientific factors such as unique geological features and tectonic activity. Nevertheless, there is still much to be understood about this area, and it remains a famous destination that attracts the curiosity of tourists and researchers. If you're brave enough, you can go explore it, but remember to pay attention to the military. They guard this area very carefully. Number 3. Land of the Bats. In the state of Campeche, Mexico, there's a giant cave that isn't marked on any tourist map. The only sign is the road sign visible in this photo. There's an open area in the forest nearby, large enough to park about 6 or 7 cars. From there, it's about a quarter-mile walk to the edge of a deep ravine, where the entrance to the cave lies. Arrive just before sunset and wait at the edge, as the diminishing light makes it almost impossible to see. Eventually, you start to hear the flapping of bat wings. Hundreds of thousands, maybe even a million bats begin to leave the cave. They first fly out of the ravine, circling and slowly ascending around its circumference until they reach the top, where you and a few other brave souls stand. Once they reach the edge, thousands of bats swoop out in all directions, searching for their evening meal. As they fly past, all you can do is hope that their incredible radar system, which they use to avoid obstacles, is accurate, because they are flying just inches from your body. One bat even got so close that it brushed my ear with its wing. For curious and adventurous travelers, witnessing this is an unforgettable experience. Number 2. The world's smallest volcano. While Hawaii is known for Mauna Loa, the largest volcano in the world, Mexico is home to Quexcomat, the world's smallest volcano. Located on the outskirts of the city of Puebla, this volcano stands only about 13 meters tall. Despite its small size, Quexcomat is a unique tourist attraction that draws many visitors. It was formed from an ancient volcanic vent, giving it the appearance of a large metallic tube. Visitors can access the summit through an internal staircase, offering a view of the surrounding landscape. At the base of Quexcomat is a water pond, which is said to be the largest hot water pond in the world, with a depth of about 23 meters. Though no longer active, this volcano remains a fascinating destination for travelers interested in exploring Mexico's natural beauty and geological history. Number 1. Caesar salad, named after a Roman emperor? When most people hear the name Caesar salad, they instantly think of Julius Caesar, one of the greatest military leaders and political figures of ancient Rome. Some restaurants even use his image to represent the dish. However, the true origin of Caesar salad is not connected to the Roman emperor at all. The dish was created by Caesar Cardini, an Italian immigrant who owned restaurants in the United States and Mexico. Born in 1896 in Italy, Cardini invented the salad by accident on American Independence Day in 1924. His restaurant was experiencing a food shortage due to overcrowding, and Cardini, wanting to satisfy his guests, improvised with the remaining ingredients. This is how the Caesar salad came to be. Some believe that a partner of Cardini's may have contributed to its invention, but regardless of the specifics, it has become one of the most popular salads in the world. If you want to taste the most authentic version, you need to go to Mexico. We've gone through an interesting journey exploring 18 unique prohibitions and peculiarities that exist only in Mexico. From bans on wearing shorts to restrictions on taking your feet off the bicycle pedals, Mexico surprises many newcomers. But behind these unusual laws lies the rich and diverse culture of this country. I hope this video has given you a deeper understanding of life in Mexico. Remember, no matter what prohibitions exist, the most important thing is to respect the culture and laws of each country we visit. Thank you for accompanying us on this journey.